every
The
single
range
weekend.
brings people together. Doesn't matter what you look like, what your background, your age, or your body type. People don't care.
Yeah.
I go shooting with people that don't look like me, that we have very different interests outside.
Yeah.
We go to the range and we giggle.
What's up, guys? I'm John Keys from Guns Out TV, here with USCCA, and I have the pleasure of sitting with Johnny B today to have an intimate discussion about home defense, being a dad, and being the community's gun guy. Johnny B, so happy to be sitting with
Thanks
you again.
for having me. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So, dude, how you feeling, man?
I'm good. We're here at this show, and anytime we come to an event where the entire community is here, the word vibe is a little overused today. But I think it's fair to say the vibe here is fantastic. We are around like-minded people.
Yeah. You know, let's unpack like-minded real quick, right? Because I think that some people don't really understand what we mean by that. Like, they may think that when we say like-minded, oh, we just love guns. There's so much more than just loving guns when it comes to being like-minded. Because the funny thing is, I walk around and I get stopped by people and we have conversations. And to be honest with you, it's not always about the gun first.
No.
It's not, right? So what is your take on that?
I don't think we can put too fine of a point on it that the press, the media, anybody with the microphones on the mainstream, they are dividing. We know that.
Yeah.
The main headline, the sub-headline in the first 3 paragraphs will have divisiveness in it across the board.
Yeah.
And they look at us and they're going to be like, well, even these people are so divided. Even in the last couple of years, they're like, well, people of color are buying more guns. I don't look at it like that, and these people don't either. Americans are using their rights. We are one people. The Second Amendment's for everybody. And that we can't say that strong enough. It's not about the guns. It's about freedom. It's about safety.
Yeah.
And for me, it's about not being beholden to the will of other people in a parking garage at night.
Yeah.
And someone comes and tries to invoke their will upon me. My answer is no.
Right.
And so I think for me, it's really about assuaging the fear and taking our own safety into our own hands. And it's rarely about the guns. It's more about the freedom.
Right. And you know, you brought up the key word, the key catalyst in that conversation to me is fear. And it boggles my mind that, okay, everyone should have a healthy fear of being, mugged, carjacked, home invasion. Everyone should have a healthy dose of that fear, but turn that fear into being proactive. And okay, how do I prevent this? How do I enable myself most capable of deterring a situation like that, right? But instead, they also fearmonger about the gun, right? But that's not, I don't think a single person is born afraid of a gun, like, because they don't even know what it is, right? So then they get programmed from childhood on up to adulthood about what a gun is and how it's used and what it means, but it's not necessarily truth.
I was at an event one time, random theater. I was scrolling Instagram, a lady behind me, and of course there's guns on my Instagram, and a lady behind me tapped my shoulder and I said, yeah. She goes, that's scary. And I looked down, it was a picture of a Glock.
That
and I
sounds,
said, what's scary? She goes, that's a gun, that's scary. I said, these are dots on a screen. These are pixels. There's nothing here. And to your point, it's programmed, it's taught, and like, ooh, the dark and scary gun.
Yeah.
And to the point of fear, like we have transferred, we all have fear from caveman days. We're afraid of things that go bump in the night.
Yeah.
We're afraid of snakes and spiders and things that can come in. That's caveman brain. But we've transferred that over to an inanimate object.
Right.
I don't want to go through life afraid. I don't want to go through life having those feelings. And I think part of what you guys do, what I do, and everybody out here is assuaging those feelings of fear and saying, I'm not going to live like that.
Yeah. You know, Johnny, that's so interesting you bring that up because, that hits home for me personally, right? Because, I was bullied growing up as a kid. I come from a small town in Louisiana. And, I was just a little different than everybody else, right? So at first, my gut reaction was fear. But there was a moment in time where I was like, you know what, I'm done with this feeling. This isn't a natural feeling for me. I only feel it when people are imposing that upon me. And there's got to be something I can do to control that. And then I started to understand that I don't have to be afraid. I just have to be aware, right? And so for me, luckily, I was able to conquer that at a young age. And it gave me the power of discernment moving forward into adulthood to really make my own informed decisions about things. But even still, right, I didn't become a gun owner until 2020. And that was because outside of the Marine Corps and what we used guns for in the Marine Corps, I didn't have any positive examples of gun ownership outside of being in the military. So as a civilian, I didn't really know how to navigate that whole thing. So with that being said, it's like I was apprehensive. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that responsibility. I was smart enough to know it was a responsibility though, right? So then finally, I was like, you know what? I need to take this step. I know how to handle firearms. Now I just need to know what it means to be a civilian gun owner.
It's just a tool. Like people often, they're like, Johnny, what about guns? What gun for this? What gun for that? I was like, it's a tool. You reach in the toolbox, you use the tool that you need. What you're talking about is mindset. You're talking about, I had the understanding. I had to change the way that I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I hope to the rest of my life never be in a gunfight. My goal is to never be in a gunfight. And this lifestyle that I lead and the things that I'm teaching other people, and that I've been fortunate enough to teach other people over the last 20 years, is here.
Mm-hmm.
Self-awareness, head on a swivel, situational awareness. If something goes bump in the night, what do? I came into my house not long ago and there was music playing in the back. I live alone, in the back of my house. I thought somebody was back there.
Oh, wow.
What do? And it was so super easy, and it was all here.
Mm-hmm.
Too many people, like the media, they focus on the tool that you're carrying, the tool that you have, but it's got nothing to do with it.
Right.
It's here, and you saying, hey, I changed up here.
Yeah.
The firearms in the military are a tool for their operations.
Mm-hmm.
We have a tool here just in case for our safety, worst case scenario safety,
Mm-hmm.
best case scenario here and here. And I'm focused up here a lot more.
Right.
The tools I like, the guns I like, it's fantastic. I still think guns are fun.
Yeah, agreed.
However, to your point, it's a change of mentality.
Yeah, no, it really is. And I'm glad you said that about guns being fun because, I think people struggle with the idea of guns being fun, right?
Guns are awesome.
And
You ever go and just like run that slide and listen to it, or just go
Man.
burn ammo for no reason?
let me tell you something. One of the funny things, that I often tell people, new gun owners specifically, it's okay to play with your gun.
It's okay.
Unloaded,
Yeah.
obviously.
Follow the
but
4 rules.
You'll follow the 4 rules, but at home, you've just brought that thing home. Don't let it just sit in the box.
No.
Take it out, reciprocate the slide, pop in an empty mag, drop the mag, mess around with it, see what the trigger weight feels like, dry fire. Do those things because that's gonna make you just feel more comfortable with the object. Far too many times have I been in a situation where I go to a range with somebody and you just see this, you could tell this person that has not opened that gun since they bought it. And they're there and they're sitting down, they open it up and you get that pause. You're like,
It's a tool. Get used to using the tool, and they're fun. I am blessed to get to work with young shooters a lot. Like
Yeah.
people from the very first shot they ever shoot,
yeah,
and get to work with them maybe the first time they carry. And
Yeah.
these are all steps along the journey. But there's always a moment, the first time they get out in a target that's a little bit away and they hit steel.
yeah.
And they get that audible ping, and
Oh, yeah.
it changes everything. Like, okay, I get it. I've taken people out, they're like, I don't like guns, I'm scared of guns, I shot a gun with my granddad back in the 1800s, blah, blah, blah. But then all of a sudden they'll ping and they'll look at me and they're like, all right, I get it. And they'll come back 2 weeks later and they're like, hey, I've been shopping for this, shopping for this, and shopping for this. I'm gonna ask you a question. You said something to me before we started, speaking of shopping for guns, that I love. What's your policy with your buddies before they go to the gun store?
Oh, they have to consult me. And let me tell you why.
Isn't that great?
Oh, it's so. So my neighbor shows up, and he just bought a Glock MOS. They come with some different mounting plates, but I guess the optic that he had obviously didn't fit any of those because it was from Amazon. So he had some type of 3D printed mounting plate, and I mean it was just all janked up, right? And he paid way too much money for all of it. And so I was like, listen, bro, I need to tell you. First off, what are you getting this for? And he's like,
What is the tool for?
What is it for? That's the very first question I asked. And he's like, oh, this is home defense. I'm like, dude, this is a Glock 34. This is a 34, bro. Like, I get it, maybe a nightstand gun, but that's the only place it's going. You're not concealing that anywhere, right? So at the end of the day, I make sure that they know that firearms have use cases, right? So you're not gonna be doing certain things with a 16-inch rifle that you would want to do with a 9-inch rifle, right? So same thing with pistols, you know, full size, concealed carry, competition, race guns, right? All of them have different categories and different use cases. So I try to really push that to them to understand what the use cases are, understand what your circumstances are too, because a use case is one thing, but depending on how your house is set up, you might want to have certain firearms for certain different things, right? So I really just try to make them understand that you have to put thought in this. It's not just what looks shiny, what looks cool, what you've seen on a movie.
And there's nothing wrong with that. They are shiny.
For recreation.
And they do
yes,
look cool.
Absolutely.
But
know what you're doing. Know what you're getting yourself into.
I love the idea that you are your community's and your tribe's gun guy. I am my tribe's gun guy, and not from an authoritative standpoint,
No.
oh, you've got to do it this way or else, but as a resource. I like the word ambassador a lot. And I feel like on some level, and it's one of the things that I call myself in my bio, is an ambassador of the Second Amendment. I'm from the South, you're from the South, there's guns, it's this culture. People they all think they know what freedom is, but on some level, I've got to open that up for people.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's talking about the freedoms that we have. I told somebody the other day, they didn't know this, that we have a constitutional right to be able to travel. That it's a right to be able to go interstate and to go to other places in the Constitution. They're like, really? With the guns and with the safety and the mindset and the not having that fear, I think, and I know you guys are as well, ambassadors to our tribes, ambassadors to our communities, to be able to say, you know what, you don't have to be afraid at night.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk you through some options for the tools. I'm going to walk you through some mindsets. So often, I've been doing dad life for 20 years. I mean, the full minivans and soccer. I've been to every soccer game there's ever been. If you need a Capri Sun, I'm your guy.
For sure.
The other dads will stop me and they'll say, Johnny, I don't know what to do. They all say the same thing. Well, I shot with my granddad in the 80s.
Oh, man.
And that's great.
Yeah.
And they'll say, Johnny, what do I do? And it's always, here's options. We play, we work, we go to the range. And that is an honor. And you guys are doing the same in your own community, to be the gun guy to your community.
You know, Johnny, I love the way you put that. It is an absolute honor. And it never gets old. It never gets old because of how important this is, right? That people are coming to you for information that could change their life one way or another, right? So to have people trust our experience and our intuition in that regard, it is one of the highest honors. But you know, you said something interesting off camera earlier that, you know, I didn't think about as much as I did. I mean, literally, it's been on my mind since you said it, and that is making sure the next generation and the generations to follow understand what the Second Amendment means. And I'll tell you why that's so important. In 2020, when I bought my first pistol and rifle, it was for two reasons. One, obviously the world was on fire. And two, I was paying attention to how they are trying to take that away from us as a right. And I didn't want to be the guy that, oh, we can't buy guns anymore, because that's really like from an outsider's perspective that knew nothing about the firearms community at the time. I was scared that one day I might wake up one morning, I really cannot go to the gun store now and buy a gun. I just can't. Right? So it was urgent. It was a sense of urgency. And Shermichael took me to the last gun show in Fredericksburg, Virginia, right before the lockdown. I mean, literally, after that gun show, there was no more gun shows for the next year and a half.
Wow.
I mean, that was the best decision I've ever made, and completely changed the trajectory of not only my mindset as it pertains to firearms, but it honestly changed my life.
What did it bring you, though? You know, it's just a tool, it's a piece of metal. What did that bring you, though? What did that bring you? Was it a gift into your brain?
Johnny, it brought things that I didn't think it could bring. And I'll explain that. It brought my family and friends closer together, because some thought it was a bold move. Some thought it was a timely move and was wondering, hey, we were wondering if you were ever gonna get a gun, or whatever the case may be. And then and everyone knows, all of my friends and family know that I'm a very meticulous person. If I start something, I read up on it, I research it. I really try to immerse myself into whatever it is to have a full understanding of it. And then I take it a step further and try to give myself a custom experience, because everybody thinks differently, everybody moves differently. So the way you partake in your Second Amendment rights is maybe a little different than what I do.
Of course,
Collectors, enthusiasts, recreationalists, whatever. So with all that being said, it was like everybody gravitated towards me. All of my friends that, that we hadn't been spending a whole lot of time together, we found ourselves at the range every weekend. Every
The
single
range
weekend.
brings people together. Doesn't matter what you look like, what your background, your age, or your
Yeah.
body type. People don't care.
Yeah.
I go shooting with people that don't look like me, that we have very different interests outside.
Yeah.
We go to the range and we giggle.
Yep.
I just got back from training out in Oregon at Thunder Ranch, and that group that I was training with, we were doing a full week of handguns. It's overstated to say, oh, all walks of life. Somebody said that about this, right? We're looking at here,
Right.
but it's true.
It is.
Different backgrounds and your friends, they all come together over a piece of metal.
It's unbelievable. And even to take it even further than that, my family, I bonded with my wife and my son in ways that we hadn't done before together, right? They were intrigued to see me actually learn. They were seeing me firsthand learn things and explore things. And so they would watch me, and they were really fun spectators. And then it was like, all right, I'm ready. And then now I'm teaching them. And it's just like to watch my son, my son's 20, and he was just so fearless about it. He was like, he had watched me enough to where he had such a basic understanding before I even, had to show him a lot of things. Plus he plays Call of Duty. We all know that's a great training tool.
It is a gateway drug.
Yeah, right.
It absolutely is.
Absolutely, and so it really changed my life and my perspective on a lot of different things in there, and I'm grateful to that. And I've also met some of the most genuine people, because to be an ambassador, as you call it in this space, you should be genuine. It's like, why would you want any of what you're trying to teach others be a facade as it pertains to something like this?
Agreed. And, we talk about training, we talk about lifestyle, we talk about friends and getting things together. You open with the idea that it's not always about the gun. To not be too sappy, but it warms my heart when you say it brought my people together. It brought my family, my friends, they come to me. As a dad, I'm at the end of dad world. My kids are now, everybody's at college, and now I'm reflecting. I'm always watching where the feet go in the house. They disappear a little bit in high school, but they come back.
Yeah.
My son in high school sort of went to be with his friends, and I would say, like, his 14th birthday party was a gun show. We went and we laid it all out, and that's
cool,
all we
man?
did. That's all we did for his whole 14th party. 15 friends, 16 with his friends, 17 gone. Hey son, I'm going to the range. You want to go? No. I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
18. Nah. And then Call of Duty hits. And he starts asking me questions about this and that. Hey dad, can you take me and so-and-so to the range, my buddy? Yep. And those little feet come back.
Yeah.
And we have had a blast he's almost 21. We have had a blast in the last 2 years. And he's working on his AR skills. He's working on movement. He's working on dropping mags and changing. He's got his first World War I gun now. He's moving into those video games.
Yeah.
And for me, you saying, hey, it brought people together, it brings those feet in. Where are people in the house, but where are people in your tribe? People, it brings them to you.
Yeah.
Guns will always, and that's something the left will never understand. Guns will bring people towards you, and it builds a community.
Yeah, when you say that, I rarely use the term the left. But but no, when you
know what I
say-
mean, the progressives.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
And they're a group now. I mean, they embrace it, to be honest with you, right? But it's funny. To me, it boggles my mind how, in my opinion, their entire ethos and mission is rooted in fear. To me, it's not rooted in, like you say, being a positive ambassador, being a leader. It's not rooted in forward thinking and original thinking and thought processes. It's not. It's about building a consensus that came from where, really, right? And it's so confusing to me. And so I don't know. They'll never have my attention.
No, and they won't. And what's fantastic to me when we talk about the progressors or the people that are like, we'll call them the anti-gunners. They're not anti-gun. They're anti-citizens owning a gun, but they're 100% pro on some level, they will call 911 in the middle of the night.
Yeah, to have someone come over with a
To
gun.
have somebody else come. And they are nobody. I told somebody this one time, I'm almost 50. I have never met an anti-gun person. Never have. I've met people that say they're anti-gun. Are you really? Do you call 911? Now, somewhere there's going to be an honest to goodness namaste hippie who is like, you know, peace and love, and he really means it.
Oh, no, for sure.
But all the rest of them,
Yeah.
100%,
Yeah.
bump in the night, they're calling 911. Hey, please bring a gun as fast as you can.
Yeah.
My point is they get it. They get it as much as everybody we're looking at. They just don't know that they get it.
You know, Johnny B, so we call the gun the tool. When someone calls someone to come and bring a gun, are they actually thinking the person is the tool now? Are they calling a person as a tool now? Because we would rather have the actual tool at our own disposal so we can deploy immediately and we don't have to wait. We can take care of a situation immediately. But they'd rather pick up a phone and call somebody. And are they actually looking at them as the tool now? You're my tool, come tool.
They know what they're calling. They may not put it into words. They know they are calling for a man or a woman of law enforcement to come down there and fix things.
Fix it.
They know. They know it's the gun.
Right.
And the training and all that other stuff.
Right.
But they know.
Ish.
But they think they're against what we are.
Yeah.
They believe in all of this. They're just a little misguided.
Right. You know, listen, man, to wrap this up, I think everything we talked about here is kind of also embodied in everything that USCCA provides, right? When you think about, you know, the education, we talked about how we educate people in our tribe on how to make the right decisions as it pertains to new gun ownership, purchases, procurements, trainings, everything. Then they offer the training. So you get out there and you really understand what to do and how to do it in very specific situations as it pertains to the defense of yours and your family.
Too many people see the USCCA, and I did this for a long time, as just, you know, more of what to do in a defensive situation. Last year, a year ago, you and I came up to Wisconsin and we went through their actual training. Their mass shooter training blew my mind.
Oh.
What we did on the range with the USCCA instructors blew my mind. It was fantastic. And for me, I know the USCCA it's big. There's a lot of different areas.
Right.
For me, what I've really been telling people that I work with is the education.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. Like, and I'm not just saying that to say it. Like, it is really, really good. What we did a year ago, I thought was fantastic.
Unbelievable,
Yeah.
Johnny B. Unbelievable. And you know, I always say that they are contextual masterminds because context is everything. You know, because when you first go into it, you may not quite understand, but the moment that context sets in of what they're actually educating you, and then you get the hands-on training for, man, it changes your entire perspective.
When you're young and your eyes work and your ears work and your joints work and you're in much better physical shape than I am, your reflexes are going to be faster. In the middle of the night, your ears are going to be better than mine. I'm down to one ear.
Oh, wow.
And when you're young, you have this ability to fight the world and take on the world. There's actual operators out here that can take on the world. As you age and as you eat Mexican food for a living, and as things start to go, things change.
Right.
And it moves from here, and your strength and your reflexes and the fist
To here.
right back to where we started. And the thing that the USCCA does, one of their instructors when we were here had just had knee surgery, and yet he was in his context. I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I'm still in the fight.
Still in the fight.
And the USCCA lets people, meets them where they are at. There's people out here of all different physical abilities and on the rise and fall of age. Because we're all on that downward slope, especially this age. And the USCCA really has helped me here because eventually this goes away.
Right.
Your reflexes, your eyesight, your hearing, and all that fades, but that education will remain.
Yeah. Johnny B, it's always a pleasure to talk to you,
Good to
man.
see
The
ya.
conversations are always just so substantive, man. Tell everybody where they can find you, man.
Go into YouTube and type Johnny B. It's right there.
It can't get any simpler than that, guys.
Lower
And
your
listen,
expectations.
if you're into that, but if not, man, this is what you're going to get from Johnny B. You're always going to get something that's going to put a smile on your face, and you're going to be able to relate to it in some form or fashion, man. This has been a great conversation, Johnny B. Always a pleasure, brother.
Thank you.
All right.